As somebody said in the comments earlier, I forgot who, with this Trump lawsuit with his tax returns, everybody's dying to see his tax returns.
Mm-hmm.
We know.
I am too.
We know that I have read. We know that I have read.
Right.
That his taxes look different in England than they do in the United States.
Yes.
We know that. So we know there's something funny on the tax returns. The district attorney in New York is investigating his secret payments to his previous lovers, Trump's previous lovers,
right.
Stormy Daniels and some of the other women,
Karen McDougal,
right. that they got paid off. They want to know what crimes were committed, what state crimes were committed.
Mm-hmm.
So far, Trump's attorney, Michael Cohen, has gone to jail for committing crimes for Donald Trump. But the U.S. Attorney's office, who was headed by Barr, refuses to prosecute anybody. So now the state is looking to prosecute perhaps Donald Trump to see if there was some crimes committed by the President of the United States in these secret payments to these women. Now, today, a U.S. District Court Judge, Victor Marrero, because Donald Trump sued the state in federal court saying they have no right to my tax returns. I'm a sitting president. I have unlimited power. You can't ask anything of me as I'm president of the United States. And in a 75-page order, Judge Marrero called the presidential immunity Trump invoked in the lawsuit to stop the production of tax documents unqualified and boundless. The federal judge wrote, the president asserts an extraordinary claim in the dispute that this court cannot endorse such a categorical and limitless assertion of presidential immunity from the judicial process. The judge added that given Trump's reasoning, the constitutional dimensions of the presidential shield from judicial process are virtually limitless. Basically, Donald Trump said, I'm the president, I can do whatever I want.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Within minutes of that decision, because the tax returns had to be handed over by 1 p.m., they had to be handed over by his tax accounting firm.
Right.
There was an emergency appeal put into the Second Circuit, and the Second Circuit has put an injunction on handing over the tax returns until the Second Circuit hears the case, and they said they're going to hear it on an expedited basis. Now, in response to Trump asserting that not only that in response, Trump wrote on Twitter,
right.
The radical left Democrats have failed on all fronts, so now they're pushing local New York City and state Democratic prosecutors to go get President Trump. A thing like this has never happened to any president before, not ever close.
Right.
And I would say, well, I don't think any president has ever broken as many laws, potentially, as Donald Trump.
Right.
So we're in uncharted territory on both ends of the spectrum. It's funny, you ever see that movie, Liar, Liar, with Jim Carrey?
Yes.
It kind of reminds me, the arguments in court, by Donald Trump's lawyers kind of reminded me of that Liar, Liar movie, when like Jim Carrey is like, has to always tell the truth,
right.
And is making like the dumbest argument. Let's watch quickly.
Your Honor, I object!
And why is that, Mr. Reed?
Because it's devastating to my case!
Overruled.
Good call!
That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened here. Now, a Twitter user, Nick Jack Pop, has summarized the whole case by recalling a scene from Jim Carrey's Liar, Liar. He says, Judge Marrero, Trump must hand over his tax returns. Lawyers, Your Honor, I object. Judge, why? Lawyers, because it's devastating to my case. Judge overruled. Lawyers, good call. So that's basically what happened.
That's so funny.
And now Trump is appealed, and the Second Circuit is going to hear it. It'll eventually end up in the Supreme Court, probably by earlier next year. Meanwhile, Trump said that he's an awesome negotiator. He's going to fix things with North Korea. Yet the talks with North Korea broke off within several hours.
Yeah.
We're still at a stalemate between trying to denuclearize the North Korean peninsula. The only thing that we have gotten so far is no less nuclear weapons, but a much more legitimated Kim Jong-un, a much more powerful Kim Jong-un, because he's been able to meet with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has basically legitimated not only Kim Jong-un as the leader of North Korea, but has also legitimated the entire regime and that entire country, rather than saying, maybe Korea should be unified, it should be a democratic country. Nope. We have a North Korea, we're going to legitimate Kim Jong-un, and he's going to give us absolutely nothing in return. Fantastic negotiating skills there by Donald Trump.
Really?
And now the North Koreans left the negotiations within hours. The meeting was on an isolated conference center on the outskirts of Stockholm. It was the first formal working-level discussion since President Donald Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un met in June, and the famous day Donald Trump walked into North Korea and he walked out, even more legitimizing Kim Jong-un as the leader of the North Koreans. And since June, U.S. officials have struggled to persuade North Korea to return to the table, but that appeared to change this week when North Korea abruptly announced it had agreed to hold talks, and then 8 hours later, it was already over. Only a day after announcing the new talks, North Korea said it had test-fired also a new ballistic missile designed for submarine launch, a provocative gesture that also underscored the need for Washington to move quickly.
Yep.
So all we have right now is a lot of BS from Donald Trump,
Right.
a more legitimated Kim Jong-un, and a more dangerous world.
Yeah.
Feeling good, Brad.
Feeling
What's
good so
next?
far.
Do you have some happy stories
Right.
next?
No, I have no happy stories
Oh,
next.
great.
Okay, here's another great
Yeah.
move by Donald Trump.
Yeah.
He is taking the last remaining United States troops out of Syria.
Right.
Let me tell you why, at least in my opinion, this is a huge problem. And it's actually a huge problem across the board, both Democrats and Republicans saying bad move.
So pissed.
The only person who's saying good move is Eric Trump. Okay, outside of Eric Trump and perhaps Jared Kushner, there's nobody in America who thinks this is a good move.
Right.
Why? Because the United States has been backing, I kept calling it SAG, but SAG is the Screen Actors Guild.
Correct.
All right, I don't think the Screen Actors Guild is in Syria.
In Syria,
It's
right.
the SDF,
Right.
the Syrian Democratic Forces. They're basically made up of ethnic Kurds.
Right.
And the ethnic Kurds live on the border between Syria and Turkey. Some live in Turkey, some live in Syria. They also in northern Iraq. They kind of border all three.
Right.
In Iraq, they kind of the Kurds have kind of carved out their own little area within Iraq, their own autonomous area. Turkey, the ethnic Kurds have been fighting Turkey inside of Turkey to get their own autonomous state in Turkey as well. Turkey considers them terrorists. We always say all the time, one person's freedom fighter is another person's terrorist, depending on what side.
The outlook.
What side.
Totally.
So according to Turkey, they're terrorists. According to others, they're freedom fighters
Right.
looking for their freedom in their own ethnic enclave. Now, the United States has been backing the Syrian Democratic Forces in the Syrian portion of Syria. They're in northern Syria. They are mostly Kurds and some other Christian Syrians as well. But what they have in common is that they are secular, they are non-religious, and they want to see a democratic Syria. The United States has been backing them. Of course, Russia's in Syria, Iran is in Syria, Israel's been bombing Syria.
Right.
The Lebanese army, Hezbollah, is in Syria.
Right.
A lot of actors in Syria right now, and ISIS is in Syria.
Right.
So why is this all important? So everyone's freaking out. You know, why give up Syria? Donald Trump says, why are we there? It doesn't affect us at all. Why are we fighting for Syrian freedom? But it does affect us. Why does it affect us? Because we just finished destroying ISIS as a caliphate.
Right.
ISIS still exists. They just don't have land anymore.
Right.
Where are all these ISIS fighters? They're being held in jail right now by the Syrian Democratic Forces, the people that we're backing in Syria.
Right.
There's over 10,000 ISIS fighters, more than 3,000 foreign ISIS fighters held in jail by the Syrian Democratic Forces. Presumably, they're still angry. I would assume, for the most part, if you joined ISIS and now you're in jail, you're still angry at America. Okay? So what's going to happen? America is no longer giving the Syrian Democratic Forces aid, backing, political will, money, arms. They're going to get overrun by Turkey now. Basically, during the UN week, Trump and Erdogan agreed secretly that the United States will pull out.
Right.
Now Turkey can invade northern Syria.
Right.
Wipe out the Syrian Democratic Forces that's been our only ally
Right.
for 10 years in Syria.
Yes.
They're holding 13,000 ISIS fighters. What are the Syrian Democratic Forces going to do? They're going to say, open the door. We have no men to go watch
Right.
ISIS fighters. Get out of here. We got to go fight a war now.
Absolutely.
So now 13,000 ISIS fighters are going to be released by jail, I would assume.
Right.
And I would assume that most of them still don't like America and
Right.
Western values.
Right. Exactly.
So what we have done is now made a big problem even bigger.
And this is how ISIS was created. You destabilize a region, you leave all the people who are pissed, you destabilize their region, form an organization.
Correct.
This is how it happens.
So now, even the Republicans, Lindsey Graham, who has been supporting Donald Trump on every stupid movie made.
Biggest cheerleader.
Okay, biggest cheerleader in the world, can't even cheer this move on. He says, if I didn't see Donald Trump's name on this tweet, I would have thought it was President Obama's rationale for getting out of Iraq. This is a big win for Iran and President Assad, and a big, big win for ISIS. Graham also tweeted that he feared would be the result of pulling out American troops from northern Syria. A, it ensures ISIS comeback. B, forces Kurds to align with Assad and Iran. C, destroys Turkey's relationship with the United States Congress. D, will be a stain on America's honor for abandoning the Kurds. I kind of agree with him.
We're in a world where you just said you agree with Lindsey Graham, and
That's
that's a scary
how-
world.
That is a very scary world. Now, Representative Liz Cheney, Vice President Cheney's daughter,
Right.
the guy from Vice who basically ran the Iraq war,
Right.
Dick Cheney's daughter,
Right.
says a member of the House Republican leadership called withdrawing United States forces from northern Syria a catastrophic mistake. Senator Mitt Romney, who is getting a huge backlash from Republicans and Donald Trump for already going against Trump in the impeachment process. And there are more Republicans who are going to peel off. I guarantee you this. He writes, I shared Graham's tweet and added his own thoughts. He writes, the president's decision to abandon our Kurd allies in the face of an assault by Turkey is a betrayal. It says that America is an unreliable ally. It facilitates ISIS resurgence, and it presages another humanitarian disaster. Senator Paul Rand, who I believe, in my opinion, could be one of Rand Paul. Paul Rand. He's such a disaster. I don't even know his name. I think he's one of the biggest disasters. He's so disliked that his neighbor beat him up. That's what a terrible person he is.
Right,
When your neighbor goes into your front yard to beat you up and you're a senator, that's how terrible a man this is. And I agree with him too.
Right.
Okay. He writes. And he's one of President's staunchest defenders.
Yeah.
He writes, the president, I disagree with him.
Yes,
Right. I
am
was like,
disagreeing.
he's agreed?
No, I'm
You
still
still
disagreeing with this
disagree.
idiot.
When you said I agree,
Oh,
I
I
thought
thought-
you agree with the neighbor that beat him up.
By the way, I do. It was over a tree,
Yeah.
and I believe that I don't know anything what happened with this tree, but if I had to take a guess, I would say Rand Paul was wrong
Yes.
with whatever happened with the pruning of the tree.
Yes.
So, in any event, this guy is so bad, he's the only senator out of 100 senators to back Donald Trump. He says, President Trump once again fulfills his promise to stop our endless wars and have a true America First foreign policy. You know what? It's not America First when you release 13,000 ISIS fighters.
Exactly.
I don't know what comes first, but it ain't America.
Right.
Meanwhile, Trump on today, and this is a big deal for people, he said that he is instructing U.S. embassies around the world, effective November 3rd, and ordering that anybody who's going in for an interview after November 3rd must have health insurance when they arrive to America, or must have a job offer that is giving health insurance within 30 days of arrival to America, or their green cards will be denied at the embassy. This is a big deal. This just came out today. There is already lawsuits pending and requests for preliminary injunctions pending against Donald Trump for his change in the affidavit of support laws that go into effect October 15th. This is in addition to the October 15th affidavit of support laws, and I don't know of any law written by Congress that says you are denied a green card because you don't have health insurance.
Yep.
There is no such law, and I would assume if this goes into effect that there's going to be a lot of APA claims. Abadir is going to be very, very busy in Abadir Sues the Government, because this is against all procedures that have been outlined by law and regulation. And as a result, I believe there's going to be enormous lawsuits. And my guess is that there'll be a preliminary injunction, but if not, They're going to be fought lawsuit by lawsuit.
Right.
And I believe at this time that we, being the immigrants, the decent people in America, would be on the winning side of that one.
Absolutely. Let's hope so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, there's a second whistleblower, Yonathan.
Oh, who is it?
It says is Yonathan.
What?
It says
wait.
Yonathan, but they don't give a last name. Do you know anything about this, Mr.
No.
Whistleblower? No.
It
Okay.
gives no last name. It ain't
It
me.
says Yonathan, he knows first-hand knowledge of everything that's going on. From Apartment 9J. There is a whistleblower from Apartment 9J. Is that you?
Absolutely
No.
not.
Now, much is not known about this second whistleblower, other than that he is being represented by the same attorney as the first whistleblower, and that he has first-hand knowledge of the conversations between Donald Trump and foreign leaders, allegedly, because nobody knows what this whistleblower is going to say, but this is what's being reported in the newspapers, that he has first-hand knowledge of the conversations between Donald Trump and multiple foreign leaders about promises that Donald Trump gave to foreign leaders in return for help with a political election coming up in 2020. When the day when the President of the United States is requesting help by foreign leaders to win a presidential election in the United States of America, by all accounts, that is a crime. Each and every time he asks for it, even if he doesn't even get it. And if he does get it, more of a crime. And when he covers up, another crime. Mm-hmm. There's multiple crimes going on everywhere. And I'm going to tell you something, and this is my opinion. I have no evidence of this. I haven't read anything about this. But I find it very, very odd, okay, that Donald Trump meets with the president of Turkey at the United Nations.
Right.
And within 3 days, against all advice from from the Pentagon,
Right.
against all advice from everybody at the State Department, against all advice from both the Democratic and Republican senators and congressmen in Congress, he unilaterally decides to pull out of Syria. Yonathan, from Apartment 9J.
Yes.
Does this sound smelly to you after a secret meeting between him and Edgerton on the sidelines of the United Nations?
Smells horrible. Stinky.
Worse than the Dallas airport, right?
Yeah. Our Dallas airport was not bad.
Well, I thought somebody was sticking it up this morning.
Oh. You know, a little toot.
Got called out.
Big
He
boy
got
like a
called
little
out.
gas.
Meanwhile, Justice Thomas appears to be sick. The Supreme Court. Well, we don't wish anybody
No,
to be
I
sick.
would never. I would
Okay,
never.
never, please. But apparently, he appears to be sick. He's not. The Supreme Court is in session right now. They're going to be hearing three big major cases that are going to be decided by June, but the oral arguments are over the next couple of weeks. On November 12th, they're going to hear the DACA case, and the court's going to deliberate over Trump's move to end DACA, a program created by Democratic predecessor Barack Obama that protects from deportation hundreds of thousands of immigrants, mostly Hispanic young adults, who are brought into the United States illegally as children. They're also going to hear about LGBTQ and workplace discrimination.
Yeah.
The court hears its first major case of the term on Tuesday on whether a landmark decades-old federal anti-discrimination law that bars sex discrimination in the workplace protects gay and transgender employees. And they're also going to hear an enormous abortion rights case. So it's going to take up a Louisiana law. Supreme Court's going to take up a Louisiana law that would require doctors offering abortion services to have admitting privileges at nearby hospitals.
Right.
That requirement would leave the state with only one doctor
Right.
able to perform abortions, because that is only one doctor who has admitting privileges in a hospital who is willing to perform abortions in the state of Louisiana. Basically, by requiring this, Louisiana is basically barring abortion.
Absolutely.
It's an end around to bar abortion in the state of Louisiana.
Absolutely.
All of these cases are going to be heard. Justice Thomas will not be there. He still is going to decide the cases, according to Justice Roberts. And I don't think anyone's going to miss him at the oral arguments, because I believe, if my recollection is correct, the last time Clarence Thomas said anything, a word, in oral arguments in the Supreme Court was over a decade ago.
Really?
So he just sits there and doesn't say a word anyway. Never asks a question, never makes a comment. Maybe he breaks a smile, I don't even know. But he never says anything. It's been a very long time since he said anything.
I mean, as one of the most conservative judges on the court, I feel like there's not much he can say. I feel like where he stands is now pretty predictable at this point. So
yeah, and talking about gender rights in the workplace, there's a 24-year-old Texan. Her name is Emily Claw. She applied for an internship at a marketing company called Kick-Ass Masterminds, but she didn't expect to be shamed for a months-old bikini picture on Instagram.
Yeah.
Now, she tweeted, "I was objectified earlier today by a company because of a picture of me in a bikini." This is her in a bikini.
right.
She
Damn.
applied for an internship. Yonathan's saying, "Damn."
I mean,
They claimed it made me look unprofessional. They screenshotted the photo, posted it on their Instagram story,
What?
and called me out for applying for the internship. I am baffled that the company handled it in such a manner. Can you imagine that?
what?
Yeah, she applied for an internship, and not only was she denied, but they put on their Instagram story, "This is not how you should look on your
Wow.
Instagram post if you want to apply for a job with us."
So she has a lawsuit case, right?
She may very well, yes.
This is disgusting.
Yeah,
that
now
this company
the
did this.
company,
Like you just
the
mad because you
company's
don't look like
post-
that in a bathing suit.
Yeah, now the
Yeah.
company's post use screenshots of Claw in a swimsuit with text over the pictures warning,
Wow.
public service announcement, do not share your social media with a potential employer if this is the kind of content on it. I am looking for a professional marketer, not a bikini model. Go on with your bad self and do whatever in private, but this is
Whoa.
not doing you any favors in finding a professional job.
Okay.
Okay, Yonathan.
Okay.
Devil's advocate. So, we do say that, you know, whatever you post on social media is out for the world to
Correct.
see. And I personally used to post like very vulgar, like that. I would curse a lot. I would drink or smoke hookah, you know, a lot on my social media. But once I became a TV personality and public figure, I really PG'd
You have to.
you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is it? I know it's wrong for them to post.
Yeah.
That, you know, screenshot
Right.
her picture and say PSA, all of that. But as someone trying to get into an industry and trying to be an intern for a very professional company, wouldn't you want to have maybe like a private profile, like where you don't have, you know,
A
it public?
Finster.
Huh?
A Finster, maybe a fake Instagram that only
This
your
it
best
doesn't
friends
even have to be
can
fake.
follow.
No, it could be a real one.
Right.
It's just
Like
it's
set to
private,
private.
so you have to
Exactly.
you know,
if you have
accept
certain
the
pictures that you
follow.
don't want them
Right.
people to see.
Right.
Yeah, it's probably if somebody is going for a job,
Yeah.
it's not out of the question now for a potential HR employer to look at your social media to see what type of pictures you're posting,
Yeah.
what type of person you are, how diligent you may be, you can tell a lot from people based on
Absolutely.
what they're posting. Now, that's still, they may have looked at her social media and decided this is not the type of woman they want in working for them. But when they can't post that and
You can't
shame
post
her.
that. No, you definitely cannot post and shame it.
No.
But
And-
so do y'all not get what I'm saying? though?
I
Do you-
understand. I guess I understand in some level, like, there needs to be a level of professionalism, but that's
Depending
not how
on
she
what-
went into her job interview. That's how she was at the pool on her Instagram. And quite frankly, what I wear over the weekend and what I wear when I'm not at work has no bearing on my ability to do a job.
It doesn't, and I don't
None.
think that's what they were saying. But the thing is, say different
but-
clients go here. Hold on. Say clients that do that you work with actually go to your, because you have to share your Instagram. Your Instagram is basically like your portfolio
But-
as well.
well, right,
So
but that's
if
just-
you see if clients see that type of representation for your company that's very professional. I mean, you as a boss, you probably wouldn't want that.
I don't think that it's fair that if you are a client of a company, you go into the employee's Instagram of the company you
being
hired
a
to
MC
check it
for a
out.
bar mitzvah, the moms like look at my profile
Now-
all the
now-
time.
But you're a public figure.
Now, I will say this. Claw wrote, it's inappropriate and unprofessional to shame an applicant through social media.
Absolutely.
We agree. A tweet rehashing the situation by the account that She Rates Dogs, which shames people's exes, has been liked nearly 63,000 times.
Absolutely.
Twitter user @BelizeMark noted that the bikini shaming wasn't just inappropriate, but hypocritical, as the company has a swimsuit photo on its own social media.
Boom.
That's the swim.
That's
the
their
swim-
swimsuit
Yeah.
photo on their own social
And
media.
they don't look nothing like baby girl. Listen, I'll tell you that.
Meanwhile,
I'm saying they mad. They mad that they don't look
Right,
like
and
that.
that's why.
Meanwhile, Yonathan, tell me if you're going to be able to do this. Belgium Kim, you may know this already. A woman is going to be paid $100,000 by Vitamin Water. You know the company Vitamin
Yeah.
Water.
Wasn't that 50 cents?
Yes,
Yeah.
they're going to be paid $100,000 by Vitamin Water if she is not able to use her smartphone for 1 year.
Hell no.
Are you able to do that?
Hell
Now,
no.
fantasy fiction writer Elana Mugdan, a 29-year-old fiction writer from Queens, New York, has taken up that challenge.
Damn, you said
In
100,000?
December, 100,000. In December, after taxes, it's about 51,000.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so it's not
'Cause
even a full
lump,
100,000.
Exactly.
Right. So in December, Vitamin Water chose Elena from a pool of more than 100,000 applicants. So 100,000 people applied for this.
I remember this when they
For
had
their
that.
scroll-free for a year challenge that
Like
asks
the
one challenge winner to go an entire year without using their smartphone. I wonder if Brad Squad would be able to do it because they wouldn't be able to watch our show, right?
But is an
They could on
iPad?
desktop.
One second,
is
but you can
an-
put it on desktop.
Yeah.
So Vitamin
How about
Water
an
replaced her
iPad?
iPhone 5S with a flip phone.
Shit.
Right.
Okay,
Sorry.
that she could only use to call and text. Now, during the challenge, she's limited to her flip phone, laptop, or desktop computers, and voice-activated devices. Nearly 8 months into the challenge and going strong, Mugdan says it's been one of her best adventures. She says, "Getting away from the smartphone has been freeing, and it's opened my eyes and made me more aware of some of the bad habits. Now I'm working on turning my life around slowly but surely." But she immediately faced some unexpected difficulties. Once I got stranded in the SeaTac airport because the
Exactly.
phone number I'd written down was wrong,
Yes.
and I had no way of looking up the right
Sheesh.
one, no way of calling a cab or an Uber, and no one in the state I knew to help me.
Jeez.
Another time, her car's check engine light turned on while she was driving late at night in an unfamiliar
Oh my
area.
gosh.
And without internet access or a GPS app, Elena had no way to find out what the light meant or where to go for help.
Oh, you see?
Oh, come on. But you know what? I remember when I was 23 years old, and it must have been around 93 and 94, right when the phone, cell phones in cars came out, but you didn't
Okay.
have the individual phone. People had cell phones in their cars.
In their cars. I
Right.
remember that.
And I drove up from Long Island to see my friend at school in Boston. And it was 2 a.m. and somewhere on 95 in the middle of Connecticut in pitch dark, I got a flat tire and I was on the side of the road. I didn't have a flashlight. I could barely see what I was doing. I was stranded on the road for 2 hours trying to change a flat tire by myself in the dark. And if anybody knows me, I shouldn't even be changing a flat tire in the light in a gas station. Okay, let alone in the dark on a highway 95. But I was eventually able to do it. I was terrified that the tire would eventually fall
Fly
off the
off.
car. I remember jacking the car up, the car falling down. I almost killed myself.
Yikes.
Because it was very dark. I couldn't see where to put the jack. So when I finally made it, I told my father, "Dad,
Right.
can I get a cell phone in my car?
Right.
Everyone seems to have I said I could have called somebody to help me. Oh, the prince wants a cell phone in his car. So what I say to, what's her name? Elana Mugdan. Oh, the princess doesn't have a cell phone. We're very sorry. But we've all lived through that life at one point in our
true.
time.
But we definitely weren't in the same life from then to now, because now, I mean, a lot of people you depend on the phone. Like back then we had different things to make
Right.
sure that we can
Right.
get through life without the internet.
Like,
Correct.
do all gas stations still even sell maps? Like, can you
That
go
part.
in and get a paper
knows
map
how to
from a
read
gas
a map?
station?
I don't know, but you have a laptop and you can print off. You can print because she has a laptop.
So that's true. So you're not really going back to 1990.
No, you're not.
You're going back to 2000.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
And by the
MapQuest.
way, for those who are wondering, Vitamin Water is going to lie detect her
Yes.
at the end to make sure that she has not used a
Ooh.
cell phone.
Dang. Would you
All
be
right.
able to do it, Brad?
No.
Kim?
I don't think so, because I'm just too directionally challenged.
I would not.
Purely for the map.
I would not be able to do it.
But would you not be able to do it for smartphone purposes or for like utilitarian purposes?
Both.
Fair. I would enjoy
both.
the disconnect,
Both.
but I need a flashlight.
Yeah. and finally, I thought this was pretty funny. A woman in Australia, she was very distressed about getting a wedding dress. Did you see this, Belgium Kim?
I did see this. I'm very excited
so
about
she was very
this.
distressed about getting a wedding dress, and she didn't want to spend over $1,000 on a wedding dress that she's only going to wear one time. And she was having a big debate: should she get it? Should she not get it? She didn't really know what to do.
This would be me as a female.
Right. So she's 43 years old, and what she decided to do is she said, I'm going to splurge and go for my wedding dress, but I'm going to get my wear out of it. I'm going to wear it as much as I can for 1 year. So 43-year-old Tammy Hall adopted an anti-consumerism lifestyle in 2016, but what she's decided to do is wear the dress everywhere. She told reporters in the end, I decided that if I was going to get a wedding dress, I'd make sure I wore it again and again. I've wanted to do things like play basketball, go fishing, and even hike and do a across a mud crater. Tammy recalled the first time she wore the dress. The first time I wore it after the wedding was to vote in the Australian election in early 2019. Since then, it's been to all sorts of places. I wore it on a crowded commuter train. That was especially funny. But I've worn it to cook and to do chores, to football games, to the gym. I even wore it once to chop wood. So she got her money's worth. Thanks for watching. For more Bradshaw Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.